Hello and welcome to this episode of the Will Podcast. I am very happy you're here, and today we're going to talk about what happens when you feel stuck based on what I call a people-pleasing pitfall. This is so common for women lawyers, and we're going to dive deep into it today, especially focusing on your worries and fears that are stopping you and how to overcome them when you're worried about what other people, especially those people at work, are going to say or think about you, especially if you're leaving your firm, your job, or the practice. Now, this could also apply to family and friends, but again, we're going to focus in on those mentors and coworkers, because I've heard from so many women lawyers that they're worried about leaving because a mentor or a partner has invested a lot of time and energy in them, and they're afraid to leave that relationship. They're afraid to let people down, and they're also afraid to leave their friends and colleagues at the office, right? Especially if you've been there a while. So we're going to look at a couple of different ways that you can think about this and get over and stop putting so much of your energy into what other people are going to think, so you are freed up to create the work and the life you truly desire. So first, we're going to start talking about coworkers and colleagues and partners and people at your firm or the current place of your employ. Let me first say this: you will lose some relationships. Now, this is, your fear already. So why am I starting with that? And we're going to get into why you really might not actually want to take all those relationships with you anyway. But let's break this down a little bit. So when you work in big law or a company, and you have got to be in the mindset of that workplace. In order to thrive, you have to buy into the cultural norms of that workplace. And for big law, that often means working many, many hours, being a yes to always being available, saying yes to almost everything. And if you don't want to continue to buy into that mindset, if you have decided that's not how you actually want to live or spend your career, that is no longer your desire to thrive in that environment. And there's a very strong cultural narrative in many big law firms where we're the best and the brightest, and you're so privileged to work here, and you should just be grateful you're in this big law place, which, for some people is absolutely true. But if that is no longer aligning with the truth of your soul and no longer resonating for you, and if you're ready to say, this is no longer okay with me, and I choose to work and live in a different way, then you are going to become different. You are going to become other. And for some people, the way you are thinking and acting becomes dangerous for them. Now, I'll give you a personal example. Before I got separated, and I'm in the process currently of divorce, I remember when friends and acquaintances would tell me that their marriages were ending. And guess what? I didn't really want to be around those people. Not because I judged their decisions in the slightest. I, felt for them. And it touched something upon my heart that I didn't want to look at, that I wasn't ready to look at. And I do believe that is true for many people who are in big law firms, don't really want to be working and living in the way that they are. When you tell them that you are headed out the door, that might tap something in their souls that they're not ready to look at. But I offer you this: it doesn't have to do with you. So other people's behaviors, and they might start leaving you out of meetings or going out for drinks, or they might kind of turn off and be cold to you. That very well might happen. Some of the people might act this way, but they're doing that because of their fears. Nothing to do with you. Yeah, maybe your decision touched something off in them, but you are not responsible for their behavior, their thoughts, and their fears, which is what their behavior is rooted into you. That can hurt, and make note of it and be kind to yourself. And remember, their behavior has nothing to do with me. So I want you to say it with me now. Their behavior is about their own thoughts and fears, actually has nothing to do with my decision, right? Now, other people will wish you good luck, and they're going to get on with their day. They're not bothered by it. They're neutral, right? They might be happy for you. They might not be, but they're just neutral. They're getting on with their days. And other people still are going to confide in you and are going to say, oh, I wish I could make this change too. I'm too afraid to do it. I wish I had the courage to do it. There's a will member in Austin, Texas, who, when she gave notice, she said people got this faraway look in their eyes and told her, I wish I could make a change also. but I'm too afraid. Okay. Now, I'm not trying to diminish their fear, whatnot, but when you make a decision, some people will start to tell you really their wishes and fears. And same thing happened to me. People started telling me more things about their marriage than maybe I even wanted to know. And finally, there are those people who are really going to wish you well. There are the people who care about you, who love you, who you have genuine connection and relationships with. And if those people are meant to stay in your life, they can, right? It's totally possible. I've seen it over and over again. And you might be really surprised by some people's reaction, both positively and negatively, and you don't know who's going to react in any which way. So this is an invitation to you to stop trying to second guess what people are going to say and think or do. And we're going to go deeper into that in just another minute. And for you to give them grace and give yourself grace, because people are really worried about themselves. And if someone reacts negatively, like, oh no, you've got so much on your plate, what am I going to do? Like, they're worried about themselves. That is human nature. That is totally normal. So give them grace too, and hopefully they'll come around and be more understanding and a little more supportive and empathetic of where you are. But just know that they're reacting as best as they can in that moment. Those genuine relationships will continue. There was a woman I worked with years ago, and we stayed in touch, and she was very close with the partner she worked with, and they continued to see each other socially and collegially for many years. A Will member recently gave notice at her firm, and her supervisor was extremely helpful in making some calls and putting in some good words for her in the places she was applying to, because it behooves the firm to have a good alumni relationship. You might be a source of business in the future. And no matter what, it's best for everyone to end a relationship on a positive note all around. Let's move on to thinking about if you would really want to take all of those relationships with you. Now, one of the things many lawyers who come to me say is like, I don't like the kind of friend I've become. Canceling brunch plans at the last minute. I'm not making plans with my friends because I just have to kind of wait and see if there's more work, and I don't want to cancel plans. So do you really want to be taking those relationships and being the person who's being canceled on at brunch, or listening when your friends are complaining and anxious and stressed out about work, or going into the bathroom to respond to that email? So look, those are ways you no longer wanted to behave, and maybe you don't really want to be spending your precious time with people who are operating that way. It just might feel too dissonant. So give yourself grace also if you don't want some of those relationships to continue. Let's go down another layer and let's see if this helps you chip away at worry of what other people think or how they might judge your decision making. Okay, we're going to go into an analogy. Let's imagine that you have plans to go to a friend's wedding, and you know that your friend has had some ambivalence about marrying their fiance, right? They're engaged, but she has some doubts about going down the aisle with this person. Now, imagine that your friend cancels the wedding a week before the events are about to commence. So it's before anyone got on a plane, but she'd spent a lot of time and energy and money. What would you think about her? Well, I'll tell you what I would think about her. I would believe that must have been a really hard decision. I would believe that she was courageous, that it must have been really hard for her to choose to let all those people down and lose the money she had invested in the wedding. I would believe that as some people might think less of her, but I would be happy for her that she trusted her gut and took a big, bold stand for herself. I would say bravo. How about you? What would you think about her? And how long would you think this about her? Like, would you think about her decision a lot? Would you ruminate on her decision? Or would you think, oh, wow, she must have made a really hard decision. Good for her. And then gone on with your life. Okay, so in what way is this analogy similar to thinking about leaving big law, right? Or leaving your job? Like, yes, you've invested time and energy and money in your big law career, but you never throw any of that out. You get to take that with you, all of that experience. Wouldn't you want to be surrounded by people who think, wow, that must have been brave, and that's a big, bold move in support of her dreams and the life she really is choosing intentionally to create? Wow, she was brave. She was courageous. Finally, I want to offer a nugget from the recent Mel Robbins book, The Let Them Theory. In the book, there's a whole chapter dedicated to letting other people think what they're going to think. Mel Robbins makes the point very clearly that we can never control other people's thoughts. We each have about 70,000 thoughts a day of our own that we can barely control ourselves. So imagine trying to get into everyone else's heads and trying to control other people's thoughts. It is just impossible, and we could never actually do it. Now, think about how much energy you would reclaim if you stopped trying to figure out what so-and-so is going to say when you tell them this, and this other person's going to say when you tell them that, how they might react. And so in a recent podcast episode with Meredith Ang, she talked about how she spent hours second guessing what people were going to say when she gave notice, and she was wrong. She was wrong when she took a leave of absence. People were very happy for her and supportive and concerned about her, and she was wrong when she gave notice, when she thought they would be mad at her, but they weren't. She wishes she could reclaim some of that energy. So I want to invite you now to reclaim some of that energy and stop thinking about what other people are thinking. And this is the refrain from the Mel Robbins book. Let other people have the freedom to think negative thoughts about me. And I want to amend that to just let other people have the freedom to think whatever they're going to think, whether it's positive or negative or neutral. I can't control it. Because again, how long do you think people are actually going to think about your decision to leave your job or your firm or the practice? You have no idea. They might be incredibly inspired by you. They might be some of those people for whom it touches something in their soul, and you stir them to courage and action. Think about your friend in the wedding again. What did you think about her? Wouldn't you want people to think that you're making a brave, bold decision in support of your soul, in support of knowing your truth of your heart? Bottom line, other people's opinions are none of our business. I'll say it one more time. Other people's opinions are actually none of our business. And we can reclaim so much time and energy if we stop trying to figure out what they're thinking and control it. This is your one wild and precious life. And you're making decisions that either elevate it and put you in alignment towards the path and the life you truly desire, or you're continuing to make decisions based on what you think other people are thinking. And we can never know. So where would you rather put your energy? Into your own heart and thoughts is where I'm inviting you to go deep. Remember, some of the relationships at work, if you choose to leave, you will lose, and that's okay. And the ones that are meant to continue, they absolutely can. And they will require your energy and the other person's energy, and you get to decide where to put that energy. But other people's behavior is about their own thoughts and fears, not about you. One more time, give other people the freedom to think whatever they think about you, because control is just an illusion. And let's have you regaining your energy and putting it towards what's now and what's next and what you want to create and enjoy in your life. We're wrapping up this episode, and I'm curious what, if anything I said, resonated with you. And would you do me a huge favor and drop me an email and let me know? I would love that so much. Please email me at Elena, ELENA, at womeninterestedinleavinglaw.com. Again, that's Elena at womeninterestedinleavinglaw.com. All one word. It's a long URL. Tell me what resonated with you from this episode and what you intend to try. And I'm also curious, how can you apply any of this to dealing with your friends and your family? And that's a topic for another episode, but some of the same things apply, right? So if you're struggling with your family or friends as you're thinking about leaving your job or your firm or the practice, what nuggets from this can you apply to those situations? All right, so tell me one thing that resonated with you. And if you want more help or resources or an opportunity to book a consultation with me, go to womeninterestedinleavinglaw.com. And if you liked what you heard today, please share it with a friend who might also be feeling stuck, and this could help her. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.